Hey guys, it's your bros from Gold Dang Bros Gaming here, hanging out, getting ready for a busy May, which I'm sure we'll get into. Um, it's definitely been a busy preparation time. Big week going into Milwaukee coming up. Mr. Consistent over there is looking to day two again to keep the streak. We've been trying to say consistency is key. That's the road to worlds here. But yeah, I've had a good week. But let's go ahead and give Tiger the mic here. How's the play been this week on the table there, Tiger?
I've been testing a lot of anti-metas for this event. I tried Ancient Box. Ancient Box beats everything as long as you get to play the game. But that's really hard to do when everybody wants to play 3 to 4 Ionos and Unfair Stamp. Um, I do think that an aggressive deck that is not effective by disruption that much is going to be the secret play of this event. So if you can figure out how to sneak a Genesect into your deck to avoid getting unfair stamped, might be the special play this coming week.
Genesect has been getting a lot of talk lately. That card is rough. With the Genesect, we'll put it up here. You attach a tool to it, and that player can no longer use their A spec. It's definitely shutting a lot of Goldangos with the Energy Search Pro, an untimely, unfair stamp. I mean, Prime Catcher, you name it. These A specs have become a pivotal part of your deck choice. Usually, when you
Mm-hmm.
build your deck, you're looking at what you're building and then what is the A spec I need to use. This Genesect is just completely shutting that down. Um, my thought here too. It also brings the thought Jamming Tower could be a better card. Jamming Tower shuts down the tools of effects, within shuts down the tools there. Tools still attached to the Genis deck though. That's the bigger catch there.
Correct. So the tool attached to the Genesect doesn't actually matter. It's kind of like the same effect of if you're playing Poison. Brute Bonnet has an Ancient Booster Capsule attached to it. Yes, Brute Bonnet doesn't get the plus 60 HP anymore, but that wasn't the effect of Brute Bonnet. Brute Bonnet says if you attach an Ancient Booster Capsule, you can poison your opponent's active Pokemon, or poison both active Pokemon. So it doesn't matter that the capsule doesn't do anything anymore. It fulfills the needed effect. So you
Yeah.
can turn
So
it
the
off all
point.
you want. You still get the poison.
That's the point there. I know a lot of people have been turning to Jamming Tower, thinking that's going to be the answer. That is not the answer. It is still attached. So be aware of that Genesect.
You can
Um,
throw
you,
a rescue board, a capsule, a EXP share, uh, a hero's cape, literally any tool, as long and it'll activate the effect.
So I don't know how much. I didn't see much of it at League this week. I know we played Monday. Definitely saw a lot more Joltik box, which we'll talk about a little bit. Everybody's talking about it. I lost to Tiger here on the Ancient box, and that was my only loss of the night, which was pretty cool. But yeah, I didn't see much of the Genesect. Tiger, did you see much of the Genesect at League?
No, not really. Everybody was testing out the new stuff. People wanted to test Blissey and wanted to test Joltik box. They just wanted to have fun this week. Meta's pretty stale. Dragapults everywhere. Little uptick in Gardevoirs, down ticks in Tank Turtles. We're in a spot where it's Badoo or not to Badoo. That is the question.
That is the
And if your deck
question.
can't handle Badooing, you need to play something slightly different or modify how your deck works around Badoo.
Yeah, that is definitely true. Everybody's had to account for Badoo in any which way. I know as a Goldango player, I've accounted for it well before it hit the meta. Still not easy to get to sometimes, get around. But speaking of Blissey and Gardevoir, those are two decks that found their way into a final in Monterrey down in Mexico, the most recent regional. I didn't cover as much of it. I've been real busy working and trying to get time free for this month of May. But Guardy did win, piloted by Brent Tonneson. It was faced up against the Blissey. That is definitely crazy because I know Guardy has been trying to find its spot. People have wanted to make Guardy work since Curlius have fallen off. And it seems to be that Brent Tonneson has found its way. What do you think about that, Tiger?
I think at the moment, Guardy is still in a unexplored spot. You have the Zorark version that Henry Chow, or AKA Chaos, uh, is being created, and then you have the Zorark-less version that Brent Tonneson, the Wonder from Down Under, has done with the heavier research and straightforward, I'm just finding pieces build. So as long as you find a consistent version that works for you, Guardy's in a pretty good spot. It hurts me to say that. Everybody knows that I'm not a huge Guardy fan. But it is in a really good spot. You beat big basics for the most part. You beat Dragapult pretty consistently, and you have like a decent Dango matchup if they're not hard tech to deal with you.
Yeah, I can agree
So
with that.
so it could be BDIF if it wasn't for how good Dragapult is into everything else.
Agreed. I mean,
So
if we
that's
look at, yeah, we're looking at the rest of the top eight on that point right there, Guardy, Blissey, Terrapox, Pulp, Maridon, Pulp. So, I mean, and that Maridon, let me rephrase that, is Joltik box, not Maridon. I had typed it down a little differently, but definitely the Joltik box using Maridon. But you can see right there, 50% of that is Dragapult.
right. Different versions. I think there were some slow Polts and some
Mm-hmm.
Polt Noirs in that top eight, but still, Dragapult as a whole is the number one best attacker in the game, unless you count Mew EX as the best attacker in the game.
I
But
guess, yeah.
um, it's really hard to just say, "Hey, 200 spread six isn't a good attack." It really does everything you need. Um, get your little guys set up for next turn. Get your big guys set up to get multi-prize plays. It doesn't hit quite hard enough to let your opponent activate things like Unfair Stamp because you have to two-shot things, but those two shots will turn into four to more prizes. And that's just where the deck's strength lies. It's hard to Iono it, excuse me, into a bad hand because it doesn't take prizes until it's
No,
ready to win the game.
I can agree with that. I mean, we played pulp in a couple different workups. I know Puerto Rico is where we started looking at it. I was playing it a little heavy to get at least an understanding of it. That the ability to take four prizes, two prizes, even six prizes in one turn. You know, as a judge at many regionals throughout the year, seeing it work its way to top tables in all different divisions. You know, from our junior Luke Giffen playing it to many seniors, multiple masters playing it. I mean, being able to set that up, yeah, cool. I can't knock that big guy out, but I'm gonna slap 200 down on him, put this other damage elsewhere, and then
Hmm.
plan an attack, and then make that person sweat behind the cards. Like, oh man, I'm like, they're setting up for a sixer. You know, I mean, and that's just, and there's nothing the other player can really do about. I mean, I'm not saying nothing, but there's very little the other player can necessarily do about it if the other player's deck is consistently able to keep rocking out a Phantom Dive.
Right. Right. Yeah. Spamming Phantom Dives is definitely the way to go right now, unless you are a top tier Guardy pilot, or if you want to play more of the I don't care about what you're playing, I do what I do, and that's it decks. Hence, what one of my top picks going into Milwaukee is Poison Moon. Some of you guys may have been playing Poison Archaludon. Same kind of concept. A little bit more consistent though, because I Brute Bonnet can become an attacker. Petrun's an attacker. Petrun EX becomes an attacker. Roaring Moon has a delete button. Baby Moon is an attacker. Baby Koraidon is another type attacker that hits a lot of good weaknesses right now with one-shotting Tank Turtle, one-shotting Blissey EX, one-shotting Pheasantippides, one-shotting Miraidons, Iron Hands, all of these guys. There is a lot of merit to being able to play a basic deck that doesn't care what your HP is and having lots of one prize support to throw off the prize queues.
Yeah, no, Moon definitely seems to be. I can agree with every sentiment you said there. I mean, having the delete button, I love that part. Just having an attack that just says, "Oh, you're big, goodbye," like a delete button to just get rid of whatever's in your way, and then yeah, that puts damage on you. But back to your Koraidon and all these other assets that you have that weren't attackers in other builds, but are now able to attack and clean up some things. And again, then you still have that worry of, oh, is he going to bring another moon back just to finish this game? You know,
Right.
it's definitely in a strong spot. The poison package, I think, adds a huge element to it because not only that, now are you're that damage isn't so bad because maybe you don't have to do the delete button all the time because now you're able to put a stadium in play, been putting some damage on the board with poison, and now you're able to use that second attack with the stadium in play to get the knockout instead of putting yourself close to being on the line.
100%. And with that, Ancient Booster Capsule is plus 60 on a Roaring Moon. That's 290 on a basic. Like, that's what Raging Bolt does with Bravery Charms. It's the same concept. They just want to survive some hits. Um, Also, that means playing Dark Energies. Everybody's favorite monkey likes Dark Energies. Means you can play Monkey Dory in there to manipulate even more. Oh, I had some poison chip damage. I hit you for 80. You didn't get set up as well as you wanted to. Let me move that poison damage over to get the KO, and then re-poison the next guy to start the process all over again. And I still haven't put a two prizer on the board yet. So there are lots of things you can do with that.
Monkey is absolutely. That was going to be my next point. I'm glad you brought it up. It's not even down in our notes. I have noticed many decks, especially for me looking at the top Goldango decks, are really heavy on using the monkey. A lot of them were the Dango Pulse. And let's get it straight. It's Dango with a Dragapult. So,
Correct.
like, I mean, because we've done it before. I've done 3 Dragapults and done the 3-3 line with 2 Dangos, and it's cool. It works, but you are way more heavier on the Dragapult, and it doesn't work as well as you want it to. But they are very heavy on the monkey. I feel like it's very important, not only just because you need to play monkey to spread damage, but you've got to be able to cut the other monkey off. What do you think about that topic there, Tiger?
I think the monkey in Goldango, especially in Dragadango, um, it lets you play like Slowpoke, but more aggressively. You're not going to get punished for taking an early KO because you went into Dragapult on turn 2 or turn 3 effectively and started swinging. Because when they start poking you back with Badoo or their Dragapult, you have Monkey to fight back. You're doing effectively what they're doing, but you have
Mm-hmm.
more draw support out of it. You have 2 or 3 Goldangos on the board. All right, cool. Unfair stamp me. I'm just gonna draw 6 more cards. It doesn't hurt you like a lot of these other decks. So that alone gives you the ability to play like Slowpoke, but have the aggressive to take one shots when they put a Polt in the active. So if you
Mm-hmm.
go turn 2, turn 3, Dragapult, start swinging for a couple turns, and they're like, all right, cool, I can't do this anymore. I have to start into my Dragapult. Boom, you switch gears. You've taken 2 prizes with your Dragapult. You go straight into Goldango, and you go 2-4 to take the last 2.
Mm-hmm. That's a classic scheme there. So, any final thoughts on Monterey? Anything coming out of that tournament you think that really adjusts anything going into Milwaukee, or is it still the same? I don't want to say stale, but still in the same track of what we've been thinking.
I think if if people have cracked the code to figure out how to play Miraidon, or I should say Iron Hands. That's what people want to play again is Iron Hands. We may see an uptick in these Joltik boxes. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be the best, but it may hit the graphic because Iron Hands as a card theoretically should just mow through Guardy and Dragapult because they're so slow right now. If you can get 2 turns of using Iron Hands, neither one of them can come back from that. I don't care who you are.
No.
Joltik powers up 2 different Iron Hands. You get 2 turns with one, and the other one gets to come in. As long as you didn't get hard bricked off that unfair stamp that they did after they were able to KO the first one, a boss wins you the game. It's Iron Hands is going to be the most oppressive force. Like how I said, Unfair Stamp was going to be the best card going into Atlanta. I think Iron Hands is the best card going into Milwaukee. If you can figure out a deck that can play Iron Hands, this is the event to play it. And it will change because Gardevoir is going to be upticking. And remember, everybody, these are personal opinions. Gardevoir will uptick. Dragapult will fall just a little bit, but will still probably take the biggest percentage if you combined all versions of Dragapult. And that means if you want to combine Dangopult, Slowpolt, Noirpult, Pult blah blah blah, Pult Hooba Blue, whatever you want, all these different variants of Pult, Frostlass Pult, there's every version that you can slap something in a Pult. If you put them all together, it's probably going to cover 15 to 16%. If you want to put them separate, you're looking 8 to 10% and a few other percents of the other ones.
Okay.
That's still going to cover most of your meta. Guardy's going to be, I'm going to say third, just because Guardy is a complicated deck to pilot, even more so now. I don't think it was as rough as people made it seem in the last format. People just don't like to play that slow and play that far behind. It scares people and it makes them play tensely, and they mess up because they're scared to play from behind.
Mm-hmm.
Now
I can agree.
It's even more precise. So your Gabe Smarts, your Brent Tonnisons, your Henry Chow, your what's his name, the TS Josh Frink. These players that have been playing Gardevoir like it's part of their religion are the people that you need to be seeking out to find out how they did it, what they're doing, watch and learn, study their plays, try and figure out what they're doing if you're going to play Gardevoir. If you're not playing Gardevoir, you need to be able to play something that can beat Gardevoir and Dragapult. Those are the 2 decks to beat, and that's what I'm sticking to.
All right, you heard it here. Those are the 2 to beat, Gardevoir and Dragapult. If you're not playing those, you got to have a plan to them. You got to be able to have a plan to beat them. All right, so switching over to next month. So we got a busy month. I know I have a pretty busy month. So we got Milwaukee coming up. 2,300 players in Milwaukee. A lot bigger than we expected. I got PAX East coming up, pretty much the weekend right after. Come home for a day, and then turn around and go to Boston. And then we got Portland at the end of the month. All this leads up to NAIC, which we're going to talk about in a little bit. I know everybody's talking about it, talk of the town, can't wait. I'm super excited to go back. We'll save that for that spot. But on to Milwaukee. So we're driving up, the crew's rocking. We got about half the bros going. How are you feeling about Milwaukee, Tiger? I know we've talked about testing and we've already talked about it on here. Just in general, how you feeling about going to Milwaukee?
Milwaukee, I think for me, has more impact than NAIC will. For personal, I still have 1 placement left to get points. So NAIC will theoretically should replace my lowest one. And that all involves on how well I do at Milwaukee. I'd rather it replace a 256 than a 512.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yes, effectively, no. If I make a 128 and then change a 256 to a 512 at NAIC, I gain more points than if I was to take another 256 here or a 512 here and then gain more points there, because in the long run it would be more overall. So I need to do better at Milwaukee so I can replace my 256 from Atlanta.
Okay, well, don't put too much pressure on yourself there, Mister Consistent. But yeah, we definitely get it. And Tiger is not alone in this race. That's one thing we'll get to at the end of this little segment here is points are getting tight. People are
Yeah.
having to replace and do improve. So Milwaukee, huge for Tiger, huge for a lot of other players. Probably the turning point for many going in NAIC. They might
The
not be able to get to Portland. So, but go ahead, Tiger.
the one biggest thing that we have to remember is we're echoing pretty bad here. It's reverbing really bad. Um,
No.
but the one big thing that we have to remember here is a lot of people already have 5 finishes. So they will be replacing what they have, not necessarily just adding in to begin with. Um, so for me, I'm at 600 points and I have a placement to just get points fresh. There is a handful of people I know. One of our buddies, one of the guys I've played the same 60 with a couple times. Some of the upper level players may know him, Nick Deltor out of the PA area. I've played the same 60 with him a few times. We bounce ideas off each other. Um, Few time world competitor. He already has 5 finishes. He had to replace a finish at Atlanta to gain an extra handful of points. He replaced a 512 and got a 64. So effectively, me getting a 256 and him getting a 64 put us back at the same spot. So we're both back at 600, even though I had to work half as hard as he did to replace what he did. And then he has to do the same thing again. If he wants to keep up with me at Milwaukee, he has to be able to, whatever placement I make, he has to be able to get that placement and higher to replace something that he did already to gain the point difference to keep up in the race.
Yeah.
Love the man to death, but that's rough.
That Frogger mentality, as you explain it, that's the only thing that comes to my mind as a 90s kid is Frogger, leapfrogging, going
Hmm.
over. I'm sure you two are not the only ones in that because if we look at the whole leaderboard, everybody's pretty much leapfrogging over everybody as this goes on. So it is definitely a crazy race, crazy frog race, I guess we'll call it, going into the end of there. Because that's all I can think of is just names. Oh, cool, you finished here, I finished here. Cool, you finished here, I finished here. Cool, you finished here, I finished here. It's definitely going to be interesting as we approach this slide. Maybe that's what everybody wanted when they set this up. Very, very possible.
I 100% hope that they go back to a point threshold. Even if it's a higher threshold, I would rather have the security knowing I hit the points and I don't have to, and I'm good. 650, 700, whatever it needs to be. If I can reach that point, sure, I'm cool. I That might do what they want anyway. That might limit the amount of players in there because it's such a high goal, but it gives people something to fight for. If the top 125 players are fighting for 850 points because they're all close to that area, that's ridiculous. I mean, I'm doing overly decent this season. A lot of people may say that having a great run right now, and it is a pretty good run, but I'm catching the tail end of the top players. I'm what you would call a 2%er. I'm not a according to stats, I'm in the top 1%. But hitting 64s, hitting 128s, I'm not effectively a tier 0 player. Let's say a tier 0 1%er. I'm the tier 1 uh way above average but not quite a pro, the 2%ers, the whatever you want to call it, but I'm good enough to fight for my chance at Worlds, and they need to be able to make it to where everybody that's at that level should be able to fight for Worlds.
Very well
Personal opinion.
said. No, very, very well said. I mean, at first there for a second, it was a little jumbled in my mind, but I understand what you're saying there. Having that point threshold for those players that aren't the so-called professional players, the ones who do it, know going into every season, this is what we're gonna do. That's what we've done this year. I will say
Mm-hmm.
that this year we both came together and said, I'm gonna judge, you're gonna play, we're gonna go to as many tournaments as we can, and be cooperative and make everything work so that travel and all that stuff's taken care of, testing and our group. That's the agreement we made. I'm sure we've met other teams that have made the same agreement. You know what I mean? But not everybody's in that boat. But having that point threshold, like Tyler explained, would tell people at the beginning of the season, I can make that or I can't make that. And then they can push as hard as they want, or they can just be like, I'm going to stick it at this point. You know what I mean? We've seen a lot of judges come out this year that were former players. We had Michael Pramwat on our show, and I've talked to him many times about this conversation. Some players just aren't happy with the system. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
that's just they just aren't happy with top X in whatever division you're in. Point threshold may fix some of that, and I guess we'll see how everything rocks out this year, and I'm sure they'll make a decision from there. But I can agree with that one too. A point threshold will make everything so much easier for a lot of players. So other than that, Milwaukee, I'll be in sides all weekend. That's for sure. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Not sure what I'm doing yet, but you guys will see me there. If anybody hasn't been to a regional and been to the side events, that's the place to go. To be honest, some people come just for the side events. But if you're going for the main and you're 1-2 and you're thinking that, hey, I'm just not having fun, you play another round and it ends up being a loss, don't have a bad day. Continue playing in the main unless you just really, really want to. Come over to sides. Grab a second deck. Play in a building battle if it's early enough. Grab some cool shiny cards. Meet some cool people. We have a heck ton of cool judges over there that are going to get your spirits up again. And honestly, it'll make you relive the whole reason why you came to regional. Because I know some people leave with their head low because, like, this is my first regional and I want to do great. And they plan to do great. They set up to do great. Everything's prepped is good and things just go boom. Don't let that be the end of your career. Come over to sides and have fun.
Yeah, the what we'll iterate every single time. If this is your first event, prep, but don't over prep because you still need to enjoy the game. Get plenty of sleep. Stay hydrated. Eat something for breakfast. Not sugar, not a donut and an oversized coffee. Eat something with a little bit of sustenance, an egg, some jerky, something high protein that will get you through it. Because 9 rounds of 50 minutes, and that's with 15-minute intervals in between just to get up the next round set up, you are not going to have a lot of time to recover in between these rounds. So that's stamina is super important. Well, Tiger,
Yeah.
I'm great. I've went playing basketball for 7, 8 hours. Yeah, you might have, but how many times did you go walk off the court every 20 minutes to drink water and run down to the gas station or McDonald's or whatever to get you something to eat to come back and play for the next 5 hours? You don't get to do that at these events.
No, there is no ingrained lunch break. Your lunch break is if you get a match done early, you and your opponent ID, something to that effect. There is no lunch break. I don't foresee a lunch break being in these events as we keep growing unless they add a day. And that's been a talk. Maybe that'll be a talk of another show. We'll save that point. But in order to do that, they would have to add another more time to give
Mm-hmm.
because we're already pushing it. But yeah, definitely check out sides. What onto that a little side from regional. I get to go to PAX East this year, so I'm pretty excited about that. Do some learn to play and some raid battles out there in Boston. And as a gamer myself, a '90s kid, grew up on the sticks. I mean, I'm excited. So being able to work the event, getting the opportunity to go, but then also being able to enjoy some of the festivities and items there and the merch and it's just definitely gonna be exciting. Be on the lookout for some stuff on the channel. I'm probably gonna spin off and do a little story, real thing of my time out there. I think that'll be a cool way to let people see what goes on. Maybe anybody who's
100%.
been been deciding or wanting to go to PAX. I know Tiger said he'd love to go to PAX one time, but that'll be fun. Other than that, we got Portland, the end of the
We do have
month.
Portland.
Looking ahead, as we always do. I mean, Portland got to 2,000 players, so not bad. That's one I foresee a lot of people not going to. And Tiger, you can tell me if I'm right or wrong. With it being tossed in, I mean, it was added in just a few months ago. You got NAIC right after that. A lot of people just got into NAIC, which is our next topic after this. Some people may choose just to not go to Portland. Now, some of the people in Tiger's shoes and other players that are competing for points, they don't really have an option. But in my opinion, I think some players that are just, I don't want to say that some players that enter for the fun, or some that are just willing to take that last shot at NAIC to get to Worlds, are okay with missing Portland. What's your points there, Tiger?
I haven't done very many West Coast events, so I have no take on if they will or will not show up. I will say that Portland will probably be a higher quality of players minus the West Coast locals. Um, Not saying you guys aren't good quality. That's not what I'm saying. Goldang Bros did not call West Coast players bad. Uh,
No.
but what I'm saying is that like it is the very last regional of North America. It is the people point chasing last chance other than NAIC to get them a good placement. So whatever they get at NAIC will replace their bad placement.
That same point you were talking about earlier.
Right. So like I said, Milwaukee is important for me because it's an actual placement, but for a lot of people that's going to be their this in Portland will be their last chances to get a decent replacement on something, so that way whatever they get as a real replacement at NAIC fits more effectively in their point schedule.
Very good point.
But other than Portland, there's no, like I said, there's no real regional. Full Grip Games is doing another. They're doing a 6K this time
Yes, they
instead of a
are.
3K. I myself will be participating in that because I want to practice for NAIC. It will be NAIC legal cards. So that means Destined Rivals will be legal
Mm-hmm.
for that event. And it is the week before NAIC or 2 weeks before NAIC. I don't 100%
Two
remember.
weeks. It's 2 weeks.
2 weeks. 2 weeks before NAIC. Thank you, Sean.
Mm-hmm.
Um, which gives us that weekend and then roughly a week to figure out what we're going, if that's what we want to play to NAIC or not. I myself, shocker, I want to play something that I think is going to be good into the whole room, not just beats the best deck. I want to play rocket stuff. I could be completely wrong on this. What I really wanted was Steven's stuff to work, the Metagross, but I don't think that it's going to be as good as I originally planned and hoped for. So I'm hoping rocket stuff is good. If not, um, guess we're playing BDIF for that format.
I definitely plan to be in attendance. Definitely to work my schedule after three major events this month. But being so close in proximity to Ohio, I was at the last 3K. I actually judged it. I kind of walked into it. Wasn't expecting it, but AJ is one of my great mentors and roles throughout the judge community. Needed a hand. I was glad to lend a hand. So we'll definitely look to do that in the future, and I'll definitely be looking at possibly playing GLC, if not looking to see some of the spice from GLC. After last regional, got talking to the Cardboard Warriors and everybody there, that interview I did, and they are definitely excited to see what kind of stuff they can cook up, and I think it'd be funky for my GLC fans out there.
Gotta appease the GLCs.
Right, right. So other than that, so you kind of alluded into the leading plays for Milwaukee when we were talking about Milwaukee there. So before we get into NAIC and the whole big thing that is nothing bad, just it's a big topic. What was your? Let's leave the crowd with what's your leading play with the next regional coming up, Milwaukee. What's your leading plays, leading test? What's on Tiger's mind right now?
Leading off meta deck, I showed you guys Moon Poison. Second place, I would put Blissey.
Okay.
It's super tanky, kind of just does what it's supposed to do. Doesn't really care about Badu because it runs off TM engine and trolley. You want to go second, you set up your board. That's the name of the game. Um, Other than that, uh, if you want to play on the meta side, I would choose Guardy or Dragapult. Probably Noir Polt, just because it has a better Guardy matchup than Slowpolt does. You can't take the multi prizes that as many multi prizes into Gardevoir with Slowpolt as Noir Polt does.
All right. So if you didn't hear it earlier in the jumble, that's it right there. Top plays for Milwaukee. At least what we're looking at now. Look out for next week. I'm sure we'll have more on that. So now the big topic. NAIC player registrations went out a couple weeks ago. Staffing invites went out. I was fortunate enough. I'm on the TCG floor for this event. Last year I was on the sides, so no downs. I love both. I do want to make that very clear. I have a love for sides in Maine, but being able to diversify myself and show what I can do in sides, and then also do the same thing on the main floor, I feel really adds to me as a professor and my capability. So I'm excited to be on the main floor for NAIC, to go as far as they'll allow me. If anybody doesn't know, as you go through the tournament, a lot of judges tend to get cut off, not because they did anything, but because as the player size gets lower, you don't need 200 judges hovering around 8 players. It is not needed. The flow goes more towards sides in the other events, which at NAIC, if you haven't been to an international championship, sides is a whole nother tournament essentially. It's a whole nother world in its own. So we'll see how far I can take it. If I end up going over earlier than planned, I'm still gonna be great with it because I have so much fun over there. But registration is our big topic here. 4,800 plus in the TCG division, or TCG discipline, I should say. That's all divisions: masters, seniors, juniors. So this is definitely the biggest international tournament to date. I know
Yeah.
Columbus was. It seems to be that's the trend. Every single tournament we have that's in a large area or at a pivotal time, it's the largest to date, largest one to date. That's a trend. Maybe that's what the growth is. Getting all these almost 5,000 players into a building, and that's not counting the spectators. That's not counting the parents that are coming with the kids. It's not counting the just amount of bodies that are going to be there, from staff to convention center workers to security to there. It's definitely going to be a big, busy tournament in a great place. If you haven't been to NOLA, I'll actually defer to Tiger on this one. New Orleans is a place to go. Go ahead and let him know, Tiger.
Uh, he is correct on that. With my culinary experience, I absolutely love food. No, guess you wouldn't guess that with a guy my size. Um, but no, the drinks that you're allowed to have everywhere are slightly adult. Very delicious though. There are slushies of the adult variety in almost every store.
Yeah.
Some of the best seasoned chicken I've ever had. Uh, Gator Po' Boy, 100%. If you have not had Gator, go try you some
Ooh,
Gator.
yes,
Um,
yes,
Crawdads, crawdads are everywhere down there. Gumbo, it's the list goes on for the things that you should try, and there are plenty of places within walking distance of the convention that afterwards, good, bad, sad, happy, mad, you gonna find you some good food.
yes,
There's going to be some type of soul food to fix your problem or amplify the high that you're riding off because you made day two at your first IC, your first event ever. But in general, you day two'd in NOLA,
yeah.
Party City.
Yeah, it's a vibe, that's for sure. The whole place is fun. If you're going, be excited, do your research. I'm sure we'll have more stuff coming up. That'll probably be the topic on almost every episode. At some point, there'll be something about NAIC, and I'm sure we'll throw our little pointers in. Maybe what we can do, Tiger, is we'll get a little guide together and have a guide video of the things we did last year. That's an idea.
That works.
Uh,
Also, next time, guys, we'll talk about the Pokemon Center because every IC has a Pokemon Center,
yes,
and
yeah.
you should definitely check into it, and we'll look into getting the pieces and information needed for signing up and registering for there. And you can find that from here at the Goldang Bros. We went out of the way to find how to sign up for Pokemon Center for you.
Yeah. We'll get that information. I know it's all with the registrations for now, but that's kind of essentially for them to see how many people they plan to be there. When those registrations drop, we'll have that out on our Twitter. You can see it up top there in the top right. Follow us for more updates. We're going to be bringing you all this stuff more as we go to these events, especially during the time of. We'll do a special episode like we did at Atlanta. We plan to do one for the rest of the year. So if there's any little things you're looking for, we can be your place to find that information. So other than that, I mean, the only other thing we had is that Joltik box to talk about. It seems to be the topic of conversation. Everybody's trying it, bringing Iron Hands back. Tiger, you said you're sentiment about it. I played a
Yeah,
couple in league. It was rough. I mean, the one was rough. The first one they started slow. I was playing Dango, of course. I had no fault in any of my game. Was able to Evo. Had Arvin. Everything I needed in hand to just start rocking. The only downside was I had to take a one prizer first because I didn't have a gust option, but it was fine. As obviously the Joltik was in the active. So, but either way, he got started slow, didn't really get rocking. The second one, however, had me sweating. If it wasn't for the final metal energy being prized, I would have lost that match. I put it to the point where he had to find that metal energy, had Crispin in hand, but as he went to search through the deck, realized Crispin was not going to work for his ability there. But like Tiger said earlier, everybody wants to play Miraidon in some form. Miraidon finds your electric Pokemon. Iron Hands is one of those. Joltik's acceleration has been talked about as one of the strongest, period. I mean, when we think about electronic generators, those were tough, but that wasn't guaranteed. This is guaranteed. I mean, yes, you're throwing a little baby in the active. Um, no real way to beef it up without it being, Luxcape really isn't an option or anything like that. That's not any way we're talking about. You're assuming you're going to lose that one prize, but making it up in the amps is crazy.
well, you don't even necessarily lose it in the one prize. I mean, it might get cleaned up later, but the decks that this does really well into, like I said earlier, are Gardevoir and Dragapult. They can't really effectively come back from multiple amps. So
That's
if they
true.
Badoo your Joltik, okay, 10 damage onto my 30, cool. Do it again. Now you powered up 2 Iron Hands.
Hmm.
Unless they're swinging with Dragapult that next turn, you taking multi prizes on this Badoo. And if they Luxcaped it for whatever reason because they didn't understand what was going on, you taking 3 prizes off of Badoo.
Yeah. So yeah, that is definitely. I know everybody's trying it. We're definitely gonna see it. So we've seen a lot of it on live when live's working. I know right now Zorak what has that bug going on. Is that what the
Yeah,
latest
if
is?
you has a rescue board on it, it takes no damage. There's a couple weird interactions going on right now.
Which is another
Um,
reason why I like to practice in real life.
Speaking of Zorak, that made me think of and the talk about Miraidon. Sorry guys,
Yeah.
we kind of rambled onto this one. We're about to finish and then we didn't, but
Yeah.
some dude I saw in a couple of events that I played online with. He's topped almost everyone that I've topped in with as well. I took the list. I will look for who it is. Um, he is playing Zorark Miraidon. So, and it's not Prime Catcher. It's not Secret Box. He's playing Unfair Stamp with it because the Zorark can just pull you out of being Unfair Stamped. So it
Sure.
aggressively lets, if they KO something, you can go unfair and amp you very much. So they've got 2 cards to work with as you're chasing down amps. And if they unfair you because you got a turn 2 or turn 3 amp, you've got three Zorarks or 2 Zorarks to pull you out of it. You're not dead in the water like the older versions. And 280 is a beefy number to hit early on for a lot of decks. Charizard isn't much in the meta right now. Yes, I played it, but it's not really much in the meta right now. So like having a 230 Iron Hands is fine. It's going to take a couple prizes, and then like Tapu Koko EX. If they KO'd you take 4 prizes with that Iron Hands before they can retaliate. Then you push up a Koko EX, which not the new one that hits for all your opponent's bench Pokemon, but or your bench Pokemon. The old one that if something was KO'd, you paralyze them. You can then effectively just 2-shot the last guy you need for the last 2 prizes.
Mm-hmm.
So I think personally, if I was to play a Miraidon deck, I would play something closer to what this guy was playing. If you guys find one of the things my Limitless pages of online events, um, look for a dude playing Zorak Miraidon. Should be in a couple of the top 8s of these online events. Try the list out. I tested it. I changed a couple cards. There was no gusting. There was no switch out. And I'm kind of scared of Maractus in a deck that plays no switches. But other than that, like the deck felt really good. It ran consistently, and I wasn't worried about not being able to draw out of Iona to 1. So I do think Iron Hands is the best card going into Milwaukee. If you could play a deck
All right.
that effectively plays Iron Hands minus maybe Turbo Hands, don't think that deck's real. Then you're good.
All right. Iron Hand's most impactful as of right now. So yeah, Tiger's right. We kind of rambled on. I did forget to talk about the Jolted box. I do want to start having at least one deck we talk about as a spotlight. Probably should have reversed it a little bit there. But like we said, guys, we're going to bring you all types of stuff as we get to all these events. Busy, busy May. So definitely grab a follow so that you can see what's going on. As we get growing, we'll have more live and more other things going on as well too. Went to go live in Atlanta. We had to go through a little thing first, so we should be good to go in Milwaukee. I don't know how much time we'll have. We'll see if we can maybe Thursday night before since I'm working Friday. But we will still bring you some stuff coming this week.
Yes, correct. We will have something going on. We will not have the PokeSnack dad with us in Milwaukee. Everybody send him a message on Twitter or tag him in something and tell him that we'll miss him in Milwaukee. But you will have the 2 of us. If you see us making a video, come say hi. We'll
Yeah.
put your we want to get photo bombed. Other than that, come check us on the floor. He'll be judging. I'll be playing. If you want to talk about decks, we're who you can come find.
Yeah. If you need to know where to go during the regional, if we even ran a question, no question is stupid, come find me. You'll see me with Grookey on my head, chilling out. He's up on the mantle right now.
Hashtag
Gardening.
Rookie Judge.
A Grookey Judge. All right, but from your bros here at the Gold Dang Bros Gaming, we're gonna let you guys get up out of here. Stay lucky.
Stay lucky.